Hello and welcome, my lovely Livy Lions, to another episode of the Almond View podcast with myself, Jake Pointer, my sexy co-host, Liam Innes.
Hello there.
And our three Fandango panellists, Owen Innes, Thomas Fro and Stephen Povey.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hello.
Our special guest this week is Livy's ex-karate kid, Shaun Byrne, who's going to take us through his career and chop up some of his top Livy moments.
This week we will be discussing our main points against those smelly cabbage bastards, the Hibs, and also picking our favourite Livingston tin pot moments over the years. And baby, there's fucking hundreds of them.
So sit back, let your belly hang out, pour yourself a nice glass of Prosecco, and let's get balls deep into everything Livingston right here on the Almond View podcast.
Here we go, two in a row. Here we go, two in a row. Livy have managed to avoid defeat for the second consecutive week. Oh yeah, following a 1-1 draw at home to the Tom Daley Leith-based tribute act, Hibernian FC. Diving bastards. Povey, why don't you give us your moment of the match against the Hibs?
Our man Craig Sibbald, actually, he had a cracking game, I thought. Really unlucky not to score. So for me, my moment is going to just be that first spell of the game, first half pretty much, until they scored. Then, but that first spell, it was like we were back to our old cell again. Mm-hmm. It was brilliant to see. But then, that was some save from their keeper with that Sib shot. And that was fair play to Jet as well. He had an excellent first half, I thought. Although the second half, not so much. When Hibs got back into it, our heads went down. It's just like, I don't know. It was a bit gutting. I think we needed to freshen things up. That's my only criticism. Sooner. I don't see the point in putting Platnik on with 2 minutes to go. Jet looked knackered in the second half. I'd say I paid my compliments to him. He had a good first half. But, pull my plunker, Livy.
Hard to argue with anything you said there, Povey. Fair play. Thomas, what about yourself?
Fucking diving bastards, aren't they? Honestly. I was watching the game over Discord with one of my mates, and he's a heavy, horrible heavy, and I just couldn't believe it. I was like, "Did you see that?" He was like, nothing in it." I was like, "He's fucking blatantly dived." They're getting such a reputation for it over the last few weeks. I think they did the same against County, right, and got something. Am I correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was kind of shocking, really, and I think it was completely kind of washed over by all media after the game as well. If that's, Morelos or Edward or whoever, that's getting absolutely nailed, and they are getting a reputation. So, dirty bastards. But on a more positive note, it was good to see quite an acrobatic extravaganza from last month's Player of the Month, Craig Sibbald. He seems to have broken the curse of the Almond View podcast Player of the Month. So, cracking goal to see. And again, I think I said it last week as well, it was just good to celebrate something after a pretty dismal month or so. It was good to kind of get off our feet. Disappointed with the result in the end, but good goal from Sibs. Happy with that.
No, fair play. Owen, what about yourself?
So my moments from the Hibs game was kind of the two left backs. You had Josh Doig for Hibs taking a wonderful tumble. It was one of the 10 out of 10 for that one. Actually, no, 11 out of 10. The more you see it, the worse it gets for that dive in the box, which no one on the pitch was even asking for it from memory. But then on our side, Jackson Longridge again. That's 2 games in a row. I think he's had quite a solid game. Obviously, Devlin did do a lot of the work blocking the shot in the second half. But I think Jackson was there at the right time in the right place. Bit of a stupid booking, quite so early on in the game. From memory, I don't think there was really much in it that really kind of deserved a yellow card that early in the game. But he was solid enough. He kind of put the ball out when he needed to, always sort of clearing it and giving us the chance to kind of regroup when they were attacking, which in the first half wasn't really that much. He's a totally different left back to what we're used to seeing this season in Serrano, in terms of he's not a bombing winger or left wing back sort of defender. I think he's been told to stay back a lot more and just defend. But yeah, I think when Jacko came back, I think I was the only one that was like, I think, we'll see if he's improved much. I think he's improved quite a lot. That's 2 starts and 2 fairly solid performances from him. So yeah, apart from obviously the fact that we got a good point against Hibs, I think the Jacko is probably one of my highlights of the game.
Jake, what about yourself?
So again, a couple of weeks ago, we spoke about Martindale talking about getting back to basics. And ever since he kind of said that, we're kind of confused what he's saying. I kind of get what he's been saying. We kind of have been. We've been going back to what we were. That first half, I thought it was great. I thought, up until they scored or whatever, I thought we looked really good, really, really positive, playing the ball around well. So that was good to see. Yeah, shame about Devlin. Arguably, yeah, he made a mistake, but then Guthrie's challenge was pretty weak. If he actually kind of just stuck his foot behind it a little bit more bravery not to give away the penalty, I don't think Doidge had the ability to flick it past him. Personally, I think if Guthrie's put a good boot in, it would have gone away. Also, another Guthrie moment which I didn't think was great was just before we did our amazing clearance off the line. His kind of this bit just totally had him on toast. Again, his timing wasn't maybe that as good, or could have whatever. So those were kind of 2 moments which sound quite negative, but overall that clearance of the line was absolutely amazing. But I thought, yes, it's getting better again, and I'm starting to get more excited about the next games coming up when I know we're starting to play better football again.
Yeah, I sort of had to agree with you on Guthrie, because there was a point, I don't know if this was maybe the chance you were talking about, but he goes up for a header and instead of a defensive header does more of a Lee Miller to Ryan Hardy and knocks it over our own defender for Kevin Nisbet to run onto.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, I think there's been points this season that Guthrie's either been amazing or he's been really suspect. Whereas last season he was just a solid 6.5, 7 out of 10 every week.
Mm-hmm.
But this season he's either 8 or 9 or 4 out of 10. He's not really sort of hit the consistency. For me, the moment of the game, I actually liked there was a chance for Sibbald. Marciano pulled off a good save and Jet played him through. Nice wee ball with the outside his left foot. And I was like, that's the sort of stuff that Jet should be doing. But I don't think we'll get that again. I think that was it. He's got his goal. He had a good pass. I think next week we'll not see anything. And then touching on what Povey said at the start as well, of we needed changes quickly. Obviously, you were sort of referring to the substitutes, but for me, sticking with the same 11 for the first time in God knows how long made such a difference, because you could tell the players knew what they had to do, rather than, as I said, whereas before we would have, Jet would come out, would play Tiffany, and then would ask Effie Ambrose to play in defensive mid and Marvin Bartley in left wing back. It's one of these things that you're like, it's just nice to have a wee bit of consistency. Probably not our strongest 11, but it's just nice to see consistency in the lineup. Povey.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It was good having the same starting 11. I do think though, like as I said, one of the subs I remember crying out for in that second half, quite early on in the second half. I was like, we need a Mullen. I'm sure I put it in the message. We need a Mullen. We need a Mullen. I do think, given his performance at Easter Road as well, we could have really done with him. And I would like to see him come back in the team. We've got a couple of weeks break now before. Obviously, it's a Scottish Cup game, so I would imagine it would be mixed up a wee bit anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to see. Yeah, I would like to see Mullen back in the starting lineup. To be honest, I do think we'll get a different sort of game at Easter Road as well when we play them again. I think it'll be very different to what we saw on Saturday. Quite looking forward to that as well.
What do you reckon about Mullen being dropped at the moment?
I was just
I know
about
that
to ask that.
Yeah, and I know that his contract's up at the end of the season. We do have the option we don't have the option. He has the option of a 2-year. I think it's a 2-year extension, but it's the player who decides rather than us who decide. So, do you reckon perhaps there's maybe been a stall to that? Is he maybe going to wait until the end of the season? I mean, it's quite a sort of
maybe
when
him and Robbo are maybe pals.
Okay.
I'm going with Robbo. I'm going to Motherwell with Robbo.
that would be total Motherwell banter years or Livi banter. I don't know. Does that fall under Motherwell banter years or Livi banter years? Fucking them just signing every single ex-Livi player under the sun. What do you reckon?
I think it's pretty tin pot of Motherwell just to constantly sign ex-Livingston players. So I've seen a lot of stuff on Motherwell's social media, like on their Twitter recently, and ken how Livi have started doing it. Don't get me wrong, some of the videos are class, but when you've been pumped 3-1 by Hamilton, do you really want a video of different angles and emotional music playing with a tweet like, "Oh, we'll come back stronger next week"? Like, Motherwell were doing that about 5 years ago, and their fans are sick of it. So I think there's going to be a point that Motherwell fans turn around and just be like, stop. Stop signing players that used to play for Livingston. There's only so much we can have. I think from listening to Mullen on another Wesleyan football podcast, those who shall not be named, he seems to have like a pretty big affection for the club. You mentioned it last week, I think, Owen, regarding Robbo saying that people don't come to Livingston for the money. Mullen, I think he's about the same age as Robbo. Like, anywhere he goes is going to be a sideways move. He's in a team that he knows the manager, he knows that he'll get. He will eventually get game time again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he was to leave, I think again that would just be a bit of a Robbo situation. Of like, can you not just sit out for a couple of weeks? Like, you have to really. But then the fact that he's been on the bench and coming on sort of suggests that maybe we'll be able to keep hold of it. I don't know if anyone else has got any thoughts on that.
I think he's been dropped just because he's not been playing that great. Like, I think generally, like, potentially thinking too much into it. I think he don't feel he was getting into the right positions. I don't feel like his crossing and being utilised for about a month, really. I like the idea that Forrest is back on, so he's cutting inside, Sybil inside and doing a cross. I think it's a tactical move more than anything else. It's just not been that good. And I think it's good that he's coming on and he can, and it's the thought that he's on the bench and we've got someone who can put balls on like that is great. So I think it'll be interesting to see what we do. But at the end of the day, Sybil's had 2 great games. and been playing well in that position, do you fix what's not broken? I don't know. Owen?
The way in which I'm seeing it, right, is that Mullen is not being utilised on the wing anymore. Before the cup final, he was playing on the wings. He was trying to get he was crossing from deep, trying to get to the byline and everything like that. Now it's as if we're kind of playing two attacking midfielders behind the striker. So we're not playing any kind of wide player. So when Mullen's been playing, it's basically Mullen gets the ball and he comes inside rather than heading out to the wing. And Devlin's the one that's supposed to come up. And Devlin can't cross worth a fuck. So I think Mullen's been playing in the wrong position. Alan Forrest, on the other hand, though, plays out on the wing, and then cuts in. And I think that's what he's want. I think that's what Martindale is wanting Mullen to do. But it's almost as soon as Mullen gets the ball, he's trying to cut inside rather than heading out to the wing, where his crossing is again amongst some of the best crossing in the league.
He came on against Hamilton though, cut in. He only played about 10 minutes, was it, or something? But almost like total sealed the win at that point by hitting the bar. He's just so dangerous. I think he's great at both. Cutting in and having a go, as well as obviously his delivery. I think he's one of our most lethal weapons. And at a time when we're not exactly, excluding that Hamilton game, not exactly been on fire up front. I think we're daft not playing him. We're turning into Ross County not playing him,
Well, I think, though, you say that he's one of our most lethal weapons, but in the Hibs game, where it was literally, we were on top, for that latter half of the second half, trying to get a goal to win the game, you should be throwing on your lethal weapon. You shouldn't be keeping him sitting on the bench.
Couldn't agree more.
I couldn't
agree more.
You think by 70 minutes, we start to come back into the ascendancy again. Fair enough, Jet was probably, he was blowing out of his arse at fucking 52 minutes. But, we should be getting someone like Mullen on at that particular point, and we just didn't. And that's probably the most frustrating part of the game on Saturday, was the fact that the changes that we made were maybe a little bit bizarre. The only one that made sense was Serrano on for Longridge because he was yellow carded. That was really the only change that made any sense for me. Actually, there you go. He put Lawson on at right wing.
That's what I mean. Mullen should have been on. I was like, we're making this sub finally. It was coming. And then Lawson. I was like, for goodness sake. We all knew that game needed a Mullen.
I'm going to maybe just round this off a bit nicely here. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Hopefully it's not contractual issues, blah, 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 blah. Maybe he's carrying a knock. Maybe he's got a wee fitness problem, something like that. But, I mean, if he has been dropped for his, performances, whether that's systematic or not, hopefully this can kind of spur him into a bit of action, because I think we can all agree that he's quality. So no matter why he's not been playing, I think he can be a big part in the rest of the games in this season. If he's fit and if he's firing, there's no reason why he shouldn't play. So I hope he plays the rest of the season. I think he can have a massive impact for us all over the park.
We're now delighted to say that we're joined by one of the modern day Livingston heroes. He's the rootin', tootin', League One and playoff winning, Hibs skinning, heart slaying, karate chopping champion of the world. It's Mr. Shaun Byrne.
Hey!
How are you,
What's
Shaun?
happening, lads? Good, thanks. How are yous?
Yeah.
Not too bad. Right, Jake.
Okay, Shaun, so we're gonna mix up a little bit. This is the first time we've tried this, so this could be great or it could not be so great, okay? So we're gonna do the pointers ping pong quickfire quiz extravaganza with you. You ready?
Aye, no worries.
Okay, it's gonna be quickfire questions, this or this. First thing that comes to your head, fire it out. Okay, are we ready? Number one,
Right.
Ketchup or mayonnaise?
Ketchup.
Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
Halkett, Gallagher or Lithgow?
Halkett.
Oh, Tierney or Robertson?
Robertson.
Holt or Hoppy?
Hoppy.
Pizza or fajitas?
Fajitas.
Hardy or Miller?
Oh, Miller.
Livy or Dunfermline?
Livy.
Yes. Pittman or Jacobs?
Yes.
Oh, both of them. Both heroes.
And or Starbeat or the Beatles?
The Beatles.
Oh, God.
Good play.
From the best football song ever. Okay, nice one. Okay, so we're just going to dive straight into your time with Livy. So you signed in the summer of 2016 following the club's relegation to League One from Dunfermline, who themselves got promoted from League One that season. When did you hear of the interest of Livingston, and was the move in the pipeline for a while?
I was sort of coming to the end of the season with Dunfermline, and the manager, Alan Johnson, he never really put a contract on the table for me. They were still saying they were undecided when it came to the end of the season. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just made the decision myself that I think I needed to move on. I felt like I kind of stalled at Dunfermline. Wasn't really progressing any further. So I came into Livingston and met Davey and Hoppy near the end of the season. I think Livy still had the playoffs to play still. But they said no matter what league we're in, we're want to sign you, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens in the playoffs. You
settled into the team quite quickly. Do you think that was down to the fact that you knew the league already, having experienced it with Dunfermline?
I don't think things went really smooth to start with at Livy. I think I had to sort of be a bit patient to start with to sort of consolidate my team, my place in the team. Wasn't it really until maybe September time I think I sort of nailed down that position in midfield. The league's tough to play in League One and that. There's not much football, but obviously we had a good squad, and as you said, I knew the league quite well, so it always helps.
So that team in League One had a pretty relentless front two in Danny Mullen and Liam Buchanan, who scored 17 goals and 27 goals respectively. As a midfielder, what was it like having two guys up top that were just kind of constantly on fire? Does it make your job even more enjoyable, but knowing these guys are going to make the most out of what you give them? Good thing.
Yeah, it always helps when you've got strikers that are scoring goals. I think Bucks that season was deadly in front of goals. I think every week he was basically scoring, but I think Danny helped him the way that he played as well. Danny done sort of a lot of the dirty work outside the box, and Bucks sort of got all the goals. So they complement each other really well, and obviously it helps as a midfielder when you've got strikers scoring goals and defence that keeping clean sheets as well.
The team was obviously flying before January, but out of the 7 league defeats that season, 6 came before January, and the team only lost 1 game in the second half of the season. What do you think that was down to? Was there a signing or anything in particular that kind of clicked from January onward?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think it was a new team, to be fair. When I joined, it was quite a lot of new players. There was only a few players that stayed for the championship. I think Big Deck coming back as well was massive for everybody. I think he came nearer in January time, if I'm right. So obviously he helped his quality player. I think we just got a lot of momentum and we started clicking as a team, and I think every week we felt like we were going to win games.
Promotion was confirmed in a 2-1 win against Alloa at the Macarena. What was the relief like in the squad getting straight back up the following season?
It was brilliant. That was our target at the start of the year, to get straight back up to the championship. I think we had a squad that was more than capable of doing that, and to be honest, we done really well that year and ended up winning the league with quite a few points.
The following season would obviously be one of the greatest in the club's history. What was the feeling at the start of the season? Did you kind of secretly think that we can do some damage this year?
I don't think at the start we would guess how well it would have went. I always knew we could have been competitive in the league and do really well, but I think our aim was really to get promoted, or I think it was probably just to sort of stay in the league, if I'm honest. But we knew we had a lot of quality in the team that we could get a lot of wins, and teams wouldn't enjoy playing against us. And I think to be fair, we done that. The longer the season went on, the more confident we got. And to be fair, near the end, there was a real belief that we could go and do something special that season.
Was there any game before the playoffs that stood out for you during the league campaign?
I think I think we had a lot of good results that year. I remember us beating St Mirren. I think was it 4-1. They scored early on, and they were flying that year. To be honest, they scored early, and you thought, "Oh no, here we go." Kind of long, could be a long afternoon here. But no, it just shows what we're all about. We never gave in. We never knew when we were beating stuff. Even the first game against Dunfermline, I would say, that proved to everybody in the team that we could compete with one of the best teams in the league. We missed a penalty in the last minute actually to win the game. Beat Dundee United at home. I think most games we went in fancying ourselves, to be honest. The longer the season went, we got more and more confident, and going into the playoffs we were in a really good place, getting that second position. And I think the boys were fully confident and really looking forward to the playoffs.
See, like, touching on, you mentioned before about League One, saying that there wasn't sort of much football played. Obviously, Livingston played great football that season, but what was the difference in quality between League One and the Championships? I've heard that's probably the biggest jump in Scotland, is going from League One to the Championship. So what was it like for yourself, sort of going, raising your game to that other level?
I think the better players you play against, you've got to probably concentrate more. You get punished for making mistakes. So I don't know. We never made much changes to the team in the Championship either. It was kind of the same sort of the squad that started the league. So I think we all knew each other's game. We all worked like mad for each other. You could see that in the park. No matter who played, if it was the defence, the midfield, everybody was in it together. I think that real team spirit, that was the first time I'd felt that. And you sort of, in the changing room as well, we all grew as like really good friends as well, and that was helping each other on a Saturday. So we just wanted to fight like mad for each other, and I think that worked for us.
Sammy, you mentioned earlier that we managed to secure second, which is an unbelievable achievement for Livingston at that time. And it meant that we went straight into the semi-final playoff against Dundee United. Now, we have to talk about the first leg of that playoff semi-final. I was exhausted watching it on the telly after about an hour. So watching you sort of have the energy to keep closing people down for that, especially for the winner, for Pittman, like, what was it that was sort of driving you to just keep going? Was it the occasion? Was it the supporters? Or was it just because of the sort of fight that the team had already?
Yeah, we started that game. I think Rafa scored after a couple of minutes, and I thought, well, here we go here. And then, to be fair, they took control of the game for probably up until about 60 minutes. And then, I don't know, just their fitness and togetherness, we just don't know when we're beat. I think they tired a bit as well. So, we got that second goal, and I thought, like, we could go and get another here. And I don't know, just that's the way we played at Livingston. Just press everything, keep going. I was pressing, and then as you seen, Pitts was backing me up behind me as well. So that's just the way we played, I think, and obviously it paid off, and Pitts scored an unbelievable goal. What
can you tell us about the Willow Flood incident in that game? Was it you that he pushed, or was it Lee Miller? I remember there was two of you. So was it you that he pushed over?
I think he went to take a quick free kick, and I just stood in front of the ball, and then he pushed me. I kind of went down like I got shot, to be fair, but and then I think a few of them came over, started shouting in my face, and then I think he tried to push Lee Miller, but Big Lee never moved. So I was just, I don't know what was going through my head, but he got sent off, so it worked, so it was fine.
So we win the first leg of the playoff at Tannadice 3-2. We take them back to Tamanville, and we had sort of, we finished second in the league. We'd won League One the season before, but the supporters never really turned out in numbers until that playoff game. So you're obviously used to seeing probably the five of us and two other people in the stand. So when you walked out and seen that there was supporters like spilling onto the pitch to get to the stand behind the goals and stuff like that, how did that feel as a player? Like, did that give you just a wee bit more of a sort of encouragement, thinking like, Jesus, like this is actually a decent sized team, and if we can get them up, then this could happen. So what was that feeling like seeing so many supporters?
That was brilliant, to be fair. I remember I always thought that Livi would probably take just the sort of main stand, and then as we were warming up, we seen the opening up the behind the goals and that as well. And no, I think that gave us an extra. The atmosphere in the playoffs was absolutely electric. I remember the games. The place was bouncing, to be fair. No, 100%. When you've got that backing behind you, it does give you an extra few percent. So no, it was brilliant.
And see, obviously you'd played for Dunfermline before, who are traditionally quite a big team. They've always had a fairly decent support, regardless of what division they're in. So see, when you're joining Livingston, and we're only sort of getting, especially in League One, where we're getting crowds at about 700, and then it sort of raised to about 1,000 in the Championship. So, like, does that factor into your? Obviously, it didn't because you signed for us, but like, you're looking around seeing this massive stadium, and then there's only like one stand. Like, is it a bit disheartening for the players usually, or is it just sort of like, you know what, this is what it is, we just have to deal with it?
For me, I think I was at that point where I'm thankful for Livingston sort of getting my career back on track. When I left Dunfermline, it was kind of didn't know what I was going to do, and then Livi gave me that chance to go, and they made me feel really wanted in that when I went. So I was kind of just looking to kickstart again, and thankfully I owe Davey, Hoppy, Gary Holt, even Kenny Miller when he was there a short time. I honestly loved it at Livingston so much. It was an unbelievable place to play in that. So
obviously the wins against Dundee United set up the playoff final against Partick. What was the build-up like for those two games in particular? Did you tweak anything at training, or was it just normal service? This is just another two games, and like, did the Hoppy and Davies sort of keep you quite grounded?
We never done anything different, but we all knew the how important it was, the two games. But we never changed anything at training. We knew we'd played Thistle, I'm sure, at the start of that, the cup game at the start of the year, and we done quite well against them that game. So we knew we could have competed with them. No, we never changed. I think we just were looking forward to it. We were underdogs again, which we loved being. So probably everybody was expecting us to get beat, but within the squad and the manager and stuff, we all knew that we could cause another upset, to be honest.
So obviously we went on to win the home game 2-1, but the second leg in particular, you played a massive part by laying the ball off to Jacobs for that unbelievable goal. So in your head, during the game, you lay the ball off, Jacobs hits perfect bottom corner. Obviously the team done brilliantly to sort of defend for the rest of the game, kept the clean sheet. But see, when the sort of decisive goal, when Jacobs' one went in, were you secretly thinking, boom, that's us, they're gone, we're up, the night out tonight's going to be berserk?
100%. As soon as he scored that goal, I knew we would have went on and won that.
Oh, really?
Our plan that game was to just not concede early on. We knew they were going to come at us hard at the start of the game, and we sort of seen that storm off. And to be fair, they had a couple of wee chances, nothing major. We got to half time at 0-0, and to be fair, we scored a couple of minutes into the second half, and we're 2 up. I knew our defence that we had and our work ethic and stuff, I knew we were going to go through and see that, and then obviously it topped off with nearly saving that penalty. It was brilliant as well.
I have to say, that was the first time that I was like, right, okay, the game's done.
When he saved that was it. You knew it there, but
the 94th minute, and they probably wouldn't have had any time to even kick off. I was like, nah, we're still going to lose this, boys, I bet you.
If they got back and drew, I think would have been in trouble. I think we'd have about 8 defenders in the park as well, and then me and Pitch just run about like nutters. So, that was honestly one of the best days of my life.
So that sort of leads on to the next question. Like, can you try and describe the feeling when the final whistle went? Can you even describe it? Or was it just something that you'll never experience again?
Hopefully I will experience it again, but at that moment I think I just dropped onto my knees and you kind of just realise what you've just achieved. Like, what an unbelievable season that was. Nobody in Scottish football would have gave us a chance to come up that season, and we sort of proved everybody wrong. Teams used to just say long ball Livi and that, but we were so much better than just punting the ball up front, and we had a lot of good footballers like Rafa and stuff up front, and Lee and Hardy, and they were unbelievable. So Scott Robinson, that feeling was, honestly, I can't describe it. And then the night after was the night, the Player of the Year was unbelievable as well.
That was unreal. Like, I remember, I think me and Thomas were there, and it was just phenomenal. It was just one of those things that
it couldn't have worked out any better, to be honest. Like, getting promoted and then 10 the Player of the Year at night, it was to this day, that'll be the best sort of like time I've had in football. That game, that they playoffs were, honestly, it was unbelievable. I can't even explain how good they were, and I think we deserved it as well. We weren't. I didn't feel like we were lucky to go up, or
no.
I think we thoroughly deserved it over the Dundee United game and the Partick Thistle game. I think we actually got better when we went into the playoffs as a team. I think honestly, it was brilliant.
The start of the following season, it was announced that David Hopkin was leaving, and he was going to be replaced by Kenny Miller. So obviously you touched on earlier that you had a very short stint one, but what was Kenny Miller like to work with, and what was the sort of differences between Hopkin and Miller's style of management? Because it even looked on the pitch, there was like a different style of play that Miller wanted than to Hoppy. So what was the training and stuff like dealing with Kenny Miller?
Kenny was, honestly, like, I can't say a bad word about it. I thought he was, like, his attention to detail and stuff when in training was top class. He wanted us to play for the back, basically, and build our way up the park, where probably under Hoppy and Davey it was more, I wouldn't say it was long ball, it'd be get the ball forward quicker and then sort of play in the opposition half. But Kenny was what I play for the back, for like Liam through the defence into like midfield through me, Pitts and stuff as well. So it was a different way of playing, but obviously he was only there a short space of time, so he never really got long enough to put his ideas into place. But no, as I said, I thought he was top class, to be fair.
We started that season at Celtic Park.
Yeah.
So the League One season, first home game, Stranraer. First game was Dunfermline the following season, and then you go from that to Celtic Park. So what was the feeling like walking Livingston out in the Premiership at
there's not much of a difference, is there?
No.
Well, you probably couldn't get a harder game at that time. I think it was Brendan Rodgers. Their team they were unbelievable, to be fair. Can't really mind us touching the ball that much. I think we were just chasing shadows for 90 minutes. But no, it was a good sort of lesson at the start of the season to see what the standard was. We knew we weren't going to get judged against Celtic or Rangers. It was by the other teams in the league. But no, that was unbelievable feeling. I think it was Flag Day for Celtic as well, so it was full stadium. That was an unbelievable. When you look for League One to the Premier League in a couple of years, that was unbelievable.
Do you think if Kenny stayed longer with the players that Livingston had, that his style of football would have actually worked?
I don't see why not, because I think we were actually no bad. I thought we drew with Kilmarnock, and then I think Motherwell beat us 1-0 in the cup. But there was a lot of good signs, I thought. But it's hard to say if we would have been successful that year, or if we would have struggled, but he was only there a short spell, so it would have been hard to say. But from his training, it was brilliant training, and I think all the boys really did enjoy it as well.
So Kenny Miller leaves, Gary Holt comes in, and that season the club didn't really look back. Obviously had that instant win against St Mirren, and then his first home game was our first victory against Hibs since 2005. A game that you scored the equaliser in when you turned the Hibs defence inside out. So was that probably your favourite goal for Livingston, or was there any other that stands out?
Nah, that would be my favourite one by quite a bit, to be honest. I remember that we were actually decent in the game. They ended up scoring a scrappy goal, and then again we came back for a losing position. I scored, and then I think Pitts got the winner in the no long after as well, that was probably by far my favourite goal for Livingston.
So the team continued their good form for the rest of 2018. Got a victory against Rangers, which Dolly Mengo obviously scored the winner. Big win against Dundee, and of course the absolute pinnacle, probably one of my favourite Livy games ever, the 5-0 win against Hearts. Again, you scoring a goal in it. You were on the pitch that night, we were in the stands. It was mental for us seeing Livy score 5 goals in about 10 minutes. What was it like being on the pitch, basically? Like just seeing every time you were going forward, you thought you were going to score?
I honestly, see, when we were scoring goals, we were all saying, like, what's going on here? Basically, we were just scoring every 5 minutes. It was crazy. No, we proper hammered them that night, to be fair. We were quality. I think we were the better team in the first half as well, but never really got the goal. And then second half, we just don't know what happened. Crazy. We had Christmas night out that weekend as well, so that topped it off, to be honest. I think we actually cancelled Hearts night out because of that victory as well.
I remember reading that. Christoph Berra or something.
They were meant to go away, and then I think they cancelled it, so that wasn't great for them.
Get it up them. So the club stayed up comfortably, finishing 9th place that season. How satisfying was it to stay up that year? That was always our aim. Just the first year in the Premier League, stay up. But I think we kind of secured it early on, to be honest. I know our form was not as good near the end of the year, but I think we got safe pretty early on in the season. I think we went on it was a 9-game unbeaten run, and we got a lot of wins, and we're up top 6 at some point in the season. But no, that was a great achievement for everyone. I think even I speak to boys at Dundee, they said, like, when they looked at Livingston coming up, they were like, right, they'll definitely get relegated, and they never really knew how good we were until they sort of played against us. I think everybody had us relegated that year, which was, again, that's what we sort of thrived off being underdogs. So no, that was another successful season, 100%. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, you sort of touched on the sort of latter part of that season. It wasn't like terrible. It just sort of dwindled out because I think we were safe, and there wasn't any sort of real danger. You sort of found yourself in the team a lot less, and we started playing different systems, like testing stuff out. So was that the sort of one of the main reasons you thought about moving on, or like how early on did you think, right, am I going to stay and fight for my place, or is it just time to move on?
To be honest, I got offered another contract near, I think it was about October. I had a year left, and then nothing really came off it, and then I kind of got caught in the middle between my agent and Davey. They never really got on, and to be fair, my agent was I'm not with him anymore. He was a bit of a crook, so I got caught in the middle, sort of Davey and him, and I sort of paid the price for it. I wasn't playing, so that's kind of the reason that I sort of I could have stayed because I obviously had another year, but they two just didn't get on, and I sort of paid the price for that. So no, that was sort of the reason. It wasn't. I was reading saying, "Oh, he's not getting a game and stuff." It was nothing to do with stuff like that, because I could have been there. I could have signed another contract, but I sort of got caught in the middle of Davey was right at the end of the day, because he was a bit of a clown, to be honest. So no, that's really what happened, and then just came to the point where I was able to, nothing got agreed, and I was still with that agent, and then I had a few offers to go elsewhere. So
I remember, like, towards the end of that season, like, you always seemed to be on the bench, but when you did play, the sort of team was raised a wee bit. Like, I thought we always seemed to play a bit better, so it was quite disappointing.
No, it was strange, because obviously I think up until I'd got sent off, I think it was actually against Dundee, I played every single game. Mm-hmm. Started every game and probably played most minutes, except for a few where I came off near the end. So no, it was hard sort of the last couple of months, because I was used to playing every game, and then to not be playing was quite difficult. But I suppose it is what it is, and no, that's the way it sort of ended. But I left on good terms with David, and that was nothing against him. It was just I got caught in the middle of a situation with him and my agent, and it never helped me really.
Well, I mean, obviously you're at Dundee now, so how's that been? Obviously Dundee are a really big club, and I mean, you're getting to play with Charlie Adam every week, which must be quite sound. So, how are you enjoying Dundee? Like, is it settled?
No, it's really good. I settled in really well. I think we've just been so inconsistent, I think, this season. Like, we beat Hearts in January, and we look a really good team, and then we'll drop stupid points elsewhere. We've just not gotten a good enough run to go and challenge Hearts, where I think we could have done that if we were squad, and that there's no reason we shouldn't have been up there challenging. But now I think we need to sort of get as much wins as possible and carry a lot of momentum into the playoffs, and then, as you say, you never know what can happen in the playoffs, and hopefully we can get promoted as well.
Mm-hmm. So before we get to the dream Livi five-a-side, I was just going to open up to the other boys, if that's all right with yourself, and if they've got any questions.
Aye, fire away.
Well, my main question was, we've interviewed quite a few sort of ex-Livi players, so we've always asked about the management team that they kind of played under. I was always very curious as to, we all know obviously now what Davies like, but what was Hoppy like? We've never been able to ask what kind of Hoppy was like. Obviously, you know, what did he really have to do with like training and stuff like that? What was his kind of team talks and stuff like that? Quite interested to hear about Hoppy.
Really scary when he got going. Like, I'm not going to lie.
No way.
When he lost his temper, he was pretty scary. But no, I think he done a lot of the training when he was at Livingston. He was really good coach. He took a lot of the sessions. Him and Davey they shared it out quite a lot. But Hoppy was right involved. Done a lot. I think he enjoyed sort of that side of the game. You get a lot of managers who take a step back and let their assistant and that take most of the training. But Hoppy was right involved.
You were there when the transition between our grass pitch. What was it like going from a nice grass pitch and then to, I mean, we saw it on the telly, like the pellet shit show that it was when it just started. What was that like? Were you just going, what the fuck, guys, is going on? Like, clear it up.
See, to be honest, I didn't mind Astro, to be fair. I quite liked Astro, so it wasn't the one that really bothered. And to be fair, I think we got used to it, training on it every day, and it is a really good Astro as well. So it's not like one of the other ones where, like, Queen of the South one's terrible. Yeah, but you could actually play proper football on this Astro. So if you look at the pitches now in Scotland, I'd rather be playing on Livi's pitch than some of the grass parks in our league are an absolute nightmare at the moment. So yeah, for me personally, I enjoyed playing on Astro, but we got a lot of stick. If we won, it was because of the Astro. So
I've got sort of one more quick thing.
That's fine.
Obviously, well, you're not any anywhere near retiring from football just yet.
Yeah.
But as we've not had the opportunity to speak to a current player before, so what are you sort of thinking for like after football? Are you going to go into the coaching side? Would you want to do management, or do you see your future away from the sort of that side of or away from football, basically?
It's not something I've thought about probably too much, but I probably will need to start doing it in the next couple of years. I'd probably love to stay involved with football, to be honest. That's all I've really knew for being young. So I don't know if it would be coaching or maybe opening up more academy or something like that would be quite good. Something like that would be quite good to do. But no, I'd love to stay involved with football if that was possible.
We'll finish up just now. We'll get your dream five-a-side made up of your ex-Livi teammates. So What formation have you went, and who have you picked and why?
So I'll go with Liam Kelly in goals. He's good at field as well. He's really comfy on the ball, so that always helps in five-a-side. At the back, I'm going to go with Big Deck.
Nice.
Deck's a really good player, a bit of a baller to be fair. So, he fancies himself as a good footballer. So I'd probably definitely him in the team. Pitts, because he'll just run around. He'll do everybody's running, and he counts as a few extra players while he's running. So he's classy. He'll score goals as well.
Yeah.
Then Rafa's a genius.
Nice.
Rafa's in my team every day. He's probably the most technical player I've ever played with, to be honest. I was gutted when he got that injury, because I think he would have been a big player for us in the Premier League as well. Probably Ryan Hardy, just for goals. He's lethal in front of goals, isn't he?
Good shot.
Probably Ryan Hardy scores all the time, so he'll be the one that will score us all the goals.
Nice.
There could have been loads. I could have picked Halks and
I know
Keegs and
Dolly
Scott
Menga.
Robinson in that as well. Dolly Menga.
He'd be lethal on a fives pitch.
He'd score loads.
Just Dolly Menga on a five-a-side team on his own.
Just him.
She's thrown everybody about in that.
That's all we need.
That is quality, man. But honestly, thanks so much for that, man. That is much appreciated.
That was class.
Quality.
That was great.
Anytime. That's fine.
Well, hopefully we'll get you bloody back at the club, eh?
Good luck for the rest of the season and all that.
Exactly. Good luck.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Sean. Cheers.
No worries, lads.
Sound good, man.
Speak to you
Cheers,
later.
Sean.
Bye-bye.
See you in a bit.
Bye.
You would think with international break coming up, we would want to take a break from experiencing Livi trauma. No, my crunchy lion bug. We're going to discuss our memorable tin pot moments from our club's hectic history. Thomas, how about you start us off?
I'm going to start with, maybe one of the most ironic moments of our history. I'm sure most people will remember Intelligent Finance being the sponsor. To be fair, a good-looking sponsor on a shirt. Like, we've had much, much worse sponsors on the front of shirts. But there's a few things to talk about with them. So first, I've never heard of a club changing their home kit colour to keep their sponsor happy. So the rumour is, I don't know if this has been confirmed, that the white kit from the season was when it was our home kit was meant to be our away kit, and Intelligent Finance came in and says, "Look, we're giving you all this money. We want you to have a purple kit." So that is why we eventually got the white home kit for the one of the biggest seasons in the club's history, UEFA Cup season, and we got the purple away kit just because of Intelligent Finance. Now, I love the purple kit, but that's a controversial opinion to many. And Colin McMenamin, if you're listening, I'm still waiting that shot in the post. But onto the kind of the ironic status is, the club were in administration at the same time as we were sponsored by Intelligent Finance. Doesn't that just sum up that period of Livingston's history perfectly? Financial mismanagement, an absolute shambles at a financial level. And yeah, with that Intelligent Finance broadly blazoned on our chests. I think Intelligent Finance actually went bust in the end, didn't they?
Yeah,
as well.
Did.
Eventually,
yeah. So it was inevitable, really. But yeah, what a time.
Povey?
My most favourite tin pot Livy moment was in a game where one of our coaches, and I think he was a youth kind of player with us, possibly. I don't know if he got injured, but for some reason he was named in the squad. He was the backup for the mighty Mike Mampuya. We hardly knew you as well. Mike Mampuya is quite. It's bad times. 2013, it's bad times. If that coach Neil Hastings, it was a ginger fullback, if he's the backup to Mike Mampuya, that's classic bad times. But anyway, Mike Mampuya got injured, but quite the first half, and then the Hastings went on, and he is the worst player I've ever seen play for Livy, and that's saying something because I've seen some howlers but he was. And the worst thing was, the tin pot part about it is that he was the most vocal on the sidelines, yelling at folk all the time. So when he waddled on and trying to keep up with everyone, he was so embarrassing. And we were at the stands doing impressions of him, going "You get him, you get him," pointing at other players, because he couldn't. He was so slow, what happened was he got sent off. He couldn't keep up with a player, absolutely snapped him. But I swear, he deliberately got sent off, because he was embarrassing himself. Yeah.
I think we can all agree about living tin pot choices of players over the years, with mental trialists coming over the shop trying to pick. As Alan Preston said, going over to Costa Rica trying to find players. In fairness, that was our captain, but he didn't tell us about all these other ones that I can imagine were absolutely hilarious. And then that one guy that came to the team and whether he spat on Richie Britton, was it? No, who did he spit on?
That was Sergio Berti. Was Richie Britton.
And then was paying him off for God knows how long, which is, just very tin pot. Owen, what's your story for us?
So I think the classic tin pot moment for me, it's actually technically two moments, was during the Angelo Massoni era, the classic mad Italian era, where the first incident was obviously the news about impending doom for Livingston started to appear, and Angelo Massoni forced Colin Young, our long-time stadium announcer, props to him for playing the Ammon View podcast song, or Liam's song, at the stadium on match days. But basically he was forced into reading out this statement before a game. I can't remember who it was against, but basically this big long statement about how the club's not in trouble and everyone's out to get me and everything like that. That was just utter ridiculous. I just remember the opposing fans just laughing their arses off at us. And then same era, but then of course we had the infamous ISIS / Al Qaeda style video, clearly with someone pointing a gun at James McPake, reading out his restatement for the kids. Get the kids down to the ground, get your season tickets and that, boys, and give as much money to Angelo Massoni as humanly possible. And that was some bad times for us, but I just incredibly tin pot for Livingston. Just the the statements at the time, and then as Povey reminded me of earlier, then Angelo Massoni comes on. Hello, this is Angelo Massoni of Livingston Football Club. I love Livingston Football Club. And he just goes on this like 25-minute rant about how everybody hated him, and that is epic, absolutely epic, but so tin pot. So basically, Angelo Massoni is is my favourite tin pot moment.
Your Massoni impression is epic, mate. That was epic.
That was actually spot on. Right, I've written down quite a few as we were sort of going through that. Some are sort of quite wee things that you probably wouldn't have remembered. In particular, during Paul Lambert's era and Mark Burchell's era in charge, they would make the team do the huddle, like the Celtic huddle. I mean, obviously a huddle's not trademarked to Celtic, but like just because they played for Celtic, like Mark Burchell, like fuck me, he must have played about 10 games for them, and he's like, oh no, we'll bring this in, no, this will help. And the worst part was that we were so pish during both those eras, apart from maybe winning the cup and staying in the league with Burchell, but Lambert in particular, fuck me. The appointment of Kenny Miller as player manager, going from David Hopkin, who got us from League One to the Premiership, to then hiring Kenny Miller just because he played for Rangers, seemed a bit bizarre. The stadium names. Obviously, we've got the amazing Tony Macaroni Arena here, and we've had that's probably the longest that we've had the stadium called something. But the amount of times we used to change our stadium name: Energy Assets Arena, the Braidwood Motor Company Finance Stadium, and it was just like how much is this actually bringing in? I'm like, surely it's not that much. This is one that I think only a few of us will remember. When Callum Elliott signed a pre-contract with Livingston while he was at Alloa, went on BBC Alba, was interviewed, and they specifically asked him, "You've signed a pre-contract for Livingston. Are you excited to join them again?" And he was like, yeah, no, I can't wait to start again. I loved my time there before. The next day, he then signed for Wraith Rovers.
I totally remember that. That was wild.
I mean, in my head, I was just like, I'm not that bothered, but that would only happen to Livingston. Anthony Stokes signing and not playing a game. I mean, again, replacing a £2 million Scotland striker with a guy who'd scored 3 goals in the Iranian League about 2 years ago. That was a bit bizarre. And also the fact that he signed, didn't play. We were told it was because of the pitch, but actually it was because he went on a night out with Tyson Fury. And another one that popped into my head, again, don't know how many folk will remember him, but just Ludovic Roy in general, the goalkeeper. Again, just sort of peak Livy signing players for the sake of it.
I've just thought of another one that's pretty tin pot. First season in the SPL when Starbeat come on, Livingston anthem. I mean that's not tin pot because it's an anthem now. But see at the time. And we had a home game against Dundee, and Grant McIntosh went on the pitch and sang it live. That was one of the most tin pot embarrassing things in my life. I love how ironic it is that we love that now. That's our anthem, but my God, that was cringe.
I have another tin pot thing in regards to Starbeat. So I think we got the CD for Christmas, and there was 2 tracks on it. There was Come On Livingston by Starbeat, and then there was Come On Livingston, the Dominic Very Keen remix the name. So
What?
the Dominic Very Keen remix.
I hope Dominic
Naming
remixed it.
a remix of a track after your crook of a chairman. It's got to be the most tin pot thing that's ever happened in Scottish football, surely. Well, wasn't that an episode of a Wesleyan Football Pace podcast? Am I right? Be sure to follow us on all the socials, Facebook and YouTube. Just search for the Almond View podcast. And our Instagram and Twitter pages is just at Almond View Pod, all one word. And just one last thing. Be sure to check out our previous episodes out on all good podcast streaming services. Make sure that you follow us wherever you get your podcasts to be updated with brand new content. Forza Livi, hope to see you all next week.